You got your own trial version of Fulfillment Tools? Maybe you already watched the first video about using the trial version and took your first steps into the back office. Now you want to go deeper and also thoroughly check the API of Fulfillment Tools? Great, then you are in exactly the right place. My name is Andreas Runschke and I'm a Solution Consultant at Fulfillment Tools. Today we want to get a little bit more technical and have a look on how you can use the Fulfillment Tools API of your personal trial version in just a few steps. And therefore, we will browse through the available documentation and have a quick look at tools that will help you to get results. So join me while I will demonstrate you very hands-on on how to get access to the API for the first time. So to test the Fulfillment Tools API, we need a little tool. Of course, you can access the API through all the tools you're known to. For our demonstration right now, we will focus on Postman because it's a very convenient and easy way to start. And to get that tool, you just go into your browser and you type in Postman here. You will get, this is one of the first results. You can also click here and directly use this over a web front end. I will not recommend that for our use case. For our use case, I would recommend you download the software. We'll see later on where this brings benefits to us. So I will go on that web page. This is also available for Macs. As for Windows PCs, he is figuring out that I'm using a Windows PC, therefore I only get the Windows download button. But you could also get a Mac download. So you just click that and it will get downloaded to your specified download folder. Besides Postman, that's the tool we use to communicate with the API, we can also use some tools that Fulfillment Tools provides to you. And therefore we just again go into our browser, type in fulfillmenttools.com here in the header, in the search bar, and then we are on the, let's do this in English here. We are on the Fulfillment Tools website and we can go here to the documentation. The documentation covers a lot of things around the APIs, our clients, and how it works. So we are currently interested in this getting started part and here in the Postman collection area. So we are just going to this part and we see we have some resources that are available. Two are interesting for us now. The first one is the Fulfillment Tools environment for Postman. You can download that through this link. Or here is the API collection for Fulfillment Tools for Postman that you can download through that link. Let's do that very quickly. So we go here and then we get to GitHub, and here this is the file that we need. And with this little button here, download the raw file, we can just download this file. So we do this, it will also put to your download folder. So let's go back and do the same things for the API collection. Again, we click the link here and we click on download. So this file will also get to your download folder. So now we have downloaded all the necessary tools that we need. How do we connect with Fulfillment Tools now? Of course, first of all, you should install the Postman environment or the Postman tool that you have downloaded. Just go to your download folder, double click the file and follow the instructions there. This will not be part of that tutorial. But how do we use that now? So let's go back here to the documentation. And where we want to go now is the part connecting to Fulfillment Tools. And we want to connect via the RESTful API. So let's open that. And here we need to go into the specification and we want to see the Swagger UI. Why is that? Because this now shows us all the possible endpoints that the Fulfillment Tools REST API offers and how you could engage with them. So you see we have different types of engagement. We can get some information, we can post information. And here, for example, let's have a look into that post. We can enlarge that a little bit. And then we'd see we also have an example value. This is the information that we could post. But we also get a very detailed description of the whole data schema. So this are all the data endpoints that you could send while calling this endpoint. And you also see was marked with this little star, those are the mandatory fields. So to post an order to Fulfillment Tools, these are the fields you have to fill in. The rest you can do, you don't need to, but you will soon figure out what they will do for you. Luckily, we already downloaded the Fulfillment Tools Postman API collection and also the environment. And this helps us a little bit, especially for getting started, so we don't have to type anything from scratch. So let's get into that, how to configure that inside of Postman. So therefore, I open Postman. As I said before, hopefully you have already installed that by now. And there's a second step that you should do. I would recommend that. You see here, I'm already logged in. I have a user logged in here, and you should do the same as well, because only with a logged in user, you will see these collection and environment parts here on the left side. That's not available if you're not logged in. And also it doesn't cost you anything. So the account is without any costs. You can just create one, use a good email address for that to not get spam. And then you have also all the collections and the environments you do here, they are saved. So if you log into another PC and log in with your account, you could use the same environments. That's very helpful. So now let's get the data into that. We have here, let's start with the environments. The environments, those are the different environments that we want to talk to, because Postman can talk to a lot of different environments that offers APIs. And also if you get your fulfillment tools, there might be two different environments, the testing and the production environment. So you could talk to both of them and specify them separately here. So we click here on the import button, and then we can drag and drop the file from that we downloaded earlier that says API environment, Postman environment, into this field here. And we see we have this here right now. We already also see that there are some data that needs to be filled out. We will leave that for later, but that's it for the first step. Second step would be, we also want to add the collection. We don't need necessarily to click the import button. We can also go again to our download folder and take the file that is labeled collection, and we just recently downloaded, and pull it on this part here, and he will import that for us. So let's have a look. He's still importing, and you see you already get, let's open up the current entities here, and for example the facilities, you already get a lot of those calls that we saw before in the documentation area. They are already set up here for you, so you don't need to type all of that. You can directly use those. This is very helpful, and yeah, speeds up your starting here just a little bit. So now we have to set up the environment. As we can see, we have still open here the environment. We need to enter some information. Login, the password, the host, and the API key. This basically means, what is the environment of fulfillment tools that we should talk against when we talk against this environment, and what are the credentials we authenticate again with this environment. So for that, we can bring back our little Outlook here. And you remember the email you got when you registered for the trial tenant. The upper part you see here, we already used for logging into the back office and using that. Now we need the lower part where it says API access. There you will find all the information that you need. And we can just copy them here. So for example, we take the username, take this, put it into these, both of those values, that's important. Same with the password, come on. We copy the password, put it into both of those here. The host, there's a little different name here. That's what's called the API URL. So that's basically the address that you talk to when you use this environment. And this is your main address for your API in your trial tenant. And the API key is also part of the identification. Only people with the right API key are allowed to communicate with the system. So that's the first level. The second level, of course, is the login and the password. So we can save this now and now go to our collection here. And for example, let's start with that. We want to get all facilities. So we want to get all facilities. I've opened up the call. And one thing that we have to do to prepare is in the upper right corner, we see here there's no environment selected. We have to select environment. And we just created one environment. So this is the one that we are choosing right now.
Why is that? In the future, you might have different environments. For example, the testing system of fulfillment tools, the production system of fulfillment tools. You can still use the same collections against all these different environments, but you can switch the environments just by a click here. So that's very convenient. So now we have the call. We want to get all facilities out of our fulfillment tools demo system. So let's just send this call against the API. And what we are getting now is an error. He says like, okay, you are unauthorized. You are not allowed to do that. So he checks if we have a valid authorization. We don't. So he does not allow us to get into that. And for that, we have the authentication area here. We can request a new auth token. So he will take all the information that we took into the environment to get us authenticated against the fulfillment tools instance that we want to talk to. So we just sent this and we see it worked. What we get back is an ID token. This ID token now gets saved inside of the environment. You see that here, and all other collection calls that we use now, they will use this authentication token. So you don't have to think about that anymore. You can just fire this call again. And now the request is sent. And you see here, we get a list of all these facilities that are in our system. You can see them here. If you want a little bit more detailed information, because this is just a rough information for the list here, we can go a little bit more in depth. We copy here, for example, the ID of the Moom store in Iserlohn. So we copy that. And then we use a different get call, namely the get facility by ID. Here you see we have pass variables. So you need to enter the facility ID you want to search for in this field here. So we enter the copied ID of the store in Iserlohn and we send that against the API. And now the result that we get back is a little bit different. It's not a list. It's a specific store that we asked for with all the information available inside that store. And that's basically how you use that get calls. You start on a higher level, get a list or get some kind of information. And then you want to dig deeper into that with getting back these IDs and saying, okay, give me a little bit more information about that store. Give me a little bit more information about that order, for example. That's one of the possibilities to use them. But we also have, as we can see here, post, patch, there's different calls. So we can also add information inside the fulfillment tools system. So let's use the add new facility to Cologne. So you see here, this has a little bit of a body that the get functions normally don't have a body because they don't transfer any information. But the post, they transfer information. And this is the style that it's used. It's a JSON format that says, please create this facility inside the fulfillment tool system with all this data that we have inputted in here. So we can just send that against the API again. And we will see, yes, it is created now. So we get back the result. What are the information that it has been created with? We also get the ID now back here for this facility. So we can also check if that actually worked. I mean, he says to us that it worked, but we can check. We can go to the get all facilities and fire this one again. And yes, as you would imagine, the fulfillment tools HQ, that is the one that we just entered in here, is now also available in the list. So it has been created. And that's basically the short introduction to using the fulfillment tools API. As said, you can use various tools, but this is one of the easier ones, like use Postman, get the collections and the environments from our website. Now you can start going through all of those collection items and have a little bit deeper look into how our API works, if you find all the functionality that you need. And if there are any questions, make a little stop here in the documentation of fulfillment tools where you see fully explanation for each of those endpoints and how they are used. And if you have further questions, of course, you're always able to contact us directly.
Well, that worked like a charm. You now have all the tools to use the Fulfillment Tools API. Please keep in mind, Fulfillment Tools is an API first product, which means you may encounter features in the API that are not yet available over the UI. If you are unsure about anything or have just further questions, feel free to contact your personal contact person at Fulfillment Tools. You know, the one from the invitation email of your trial version. I hope this information helps you out, and hopefully we will soon see each other in person to further discuss the value Fulfillment Tools can bring for your challenges. Until then, I wish you a wonderful, good day.